Oh, you want a piece of cake?
What makes a family feud? The history of my family includes a fight between two brothers that split the whole family in half for 40 years. One of those brothers was my grandfather.
He had a complicated family life. He didn't speak to his younger brothers or sisters for many, many years because of a family fight over the business.
At one point, there were 3 DeNatale jewelry stores, all within a block of each other. Even today, there's a whole branch of the family I hardly know, like my second cousin Peter.
First, I wasn't allowed to talk to your grandfather, my Uncle Bill, because he was a competitor of my dad.
What could cause 2 brothers to not speak for 40 years? It's funny how you can know a person without ever meeting them. I heard stories about my grandfather, but since he died when my father was only 8, they are hazy and incomplete.
He was a very kind man.
He was very gentle, always jolly.
Uncle Bill always had a good word to say to people and about people.
This is what I do know. His name was Quirino Anselmo DeNatale, but everyone called him Bill. He was born in Italy, and if he was still alive today, he'd be 107 years old. They say if you really want to find out about someone, you should take a walk in their shoes. So, I'm taking a walking tour of his life. My grandfather shared the same experiences as millions of other immigrants coming to America, but his arrival results in my birth, so I have a special interest. He arrived in New York Harbor in 1898, on board the Spartan Prince. Unlike many new immigrants, my grandfather had a family waiting for him. They lived in Little Italy on Grand Street. They had already established a jewelry store and lived above it. So I decided to go check it out. I knew it wasn't going to be there anymore, but I wanted to see where it was and what was in it. I thought I wouldn't care what I found, but when I finally got there, I realized that while everyone was buying their grapefruits and bananas, they had no idea that I was filming a documentary about my grandfather's life. I wanted my store back, but it was too late. It interested me that no one seemed to know what started the fight.
Possibly because of the business. But you know what? There were 3 companies, and they all survived, so how could you be envious? How could you be jealous?
As he became older, he felt that he'd made a mistake not being connected to his family. And so at that point, fortunately, he tried to reach out to his younger brother, Peter.
What brought them back to each other? I don't know, really. And I'm so happy that they did get back together. Like when we had that family party several years ago, everybody was saying, why did they argue? They couldn't remember. I think a lot of families are like that.
The last fight I had with my brother was over a Metro card. Would we stop speaking for 40 years? It sounds like paradise, but I think what I learned from this is that families are fragile. People get mad and they say things, but you need to get over it. It's not worth it. In the end, I know my grandfather probably felt the same way, but he couldn't make up the years that he'd lost.